Okay, so we just touched on the subject there with Nintendo. Well, I pushed it in there. So obviously, those of us who have seen it are very excited that it's coming to market soon. A little bit later. It would have been nice if we could have had it out for Thanksgiving, but when it comes, it's going to make a pretty big impact on 3D gaming. Is that good for the rest of the businesses on TVs, or what's your thoughts on the impact of 3DS?
You know, I always view 3D as a good thing wherever it is, as long as it's good quality 3D. I mean, just because I make graphics processors and sell them with PC doesn't mean I don't have a cell phone, which, look, I have two in my pocket right here. Doesn't mean I don't have a PlayStation 3, doesn't mean I have a Nintendo. So my attitude towards 3D is it's all about education and people wanting it. So the fact that there's a Nintendo 3DS that's out there and it's a great quality product that people want it just means that they're going to start to say, you know what, I like that there, why can't I have it here? Or why can't I have it here? Or why can't I have it on my, God forbid, my BlackBerry? But I think it's a good thing, right? It's all about, you know, not everyone's going to buy a Nintendo 3DS, but the fact is that if I walk up and show someone that, they may say, wow, that's amazing. Sony, where's my PlayStation Portable in 3D, right? They might go around and do that, and Sony may go do that. I don't know. So.
Well, I'm not going to comment on that. But I will say that if you stop by the Scaleform booth, they have a Hitachi cell phone that has a 3D display on it. So I have not seen the 3DS. I've heard it's wonderful.
It is.
That's probably the closest you're going to get to see, unless you're already a Nintendo developer. So you might want to stop by and check that out. I know I'm going to.
Well, I see the 3DS as a great thing. And I want to make it clear. Okay. One of the things with the 3DS, the press associated with it was, oh, it's glasses free, it's auto-stereoscopic, this is what the industry needs right now. And I would argue that they're praising it, but for the wrong reasons. It's not glasses that's the issue. The issue Nintendo, you see I'm running out of company names here, Nintendo solving, see everybody's into 3D, is that it's very viral. I mean, you can take a Nintendo 3DS to the schoolyard, show it to your friends, they grasp what 3D is, and this could create a demand for them to buy 3D HDTVs, 3D displays, and so on, whether or not they have glasses. So I see a viral marketing benefit associated with the Nintendo 3DS, and this also goes for 3D cell phones, 3D PDAs. The Nintendo 3DS is just the tip of the iceberg of where we're headed, in my opinion.
I just wonder if people know how fast technology is moving, and I'm one of the people who bought a 3D TV which is no longer supported because it's one of the older standards, and people think, shall I leave it a year until prices settle down, technology gets a little bit better, and then when they see the 3DS they're thinking, I'll leave it another year or so until a full TV gets there without glasses. Now, we, the technical 3D people, know the reasons why a full TV in 3D without glasses would be an extremely difficult thing. But most consumers will say, if you can do it on the little screen, it's going to come to the big screen. So I think there's a little bit of strange sort of miseducation going. I mean, it's very, very cool. Anyway, I'm not supposed to be answering again. I'm doing the...
Well, I mean, you raised a good point. I think a lot. I mean, my wife, I catch my wife doing it too. We go to we saw Clash of Titans in 3D, which is a horrible movie, by the way. The storyline is horrible. 3D's okay, but the storyline is it was just god awful. I love the first one. I have a personal love of Harry Hamlin. I wanted to see it, but it was not to be. But she came home with the glasses, and the first thing she said, wow, these are cool. Why do these not look as good as the ones you guys make? Because yours look cooler. I'm like, well, they're different technology. And she's like, she was trying to figure out and grasp in her mind what's the difference between the technologies. And I could see her struggle with it. And I think there's this education that has to occur. I think there's going to be this demand for the glasses free. And but I think Neil's done some great surveys where he showed that people who, once they get into the experience and they try it, the glasses just kind of fade into it. Or it just becomes a tool to get what you want, which is a better experience, right? The fact that I have to wear gaming headphones, that they're big and bulky, but if they deliver to me 7.1 sound, I love them. I use them all the time. That's how I game with. So,
I must admit, I mean, when I've been coming out of cinemas, I haven't had an issue with like listening to people around going, oh, I think next time I'll go to the 2D one. I mean, most people come out of a cinema and it was an immersive experience, and they will hopefully want to recreate that in their homes by watching the movies, playing the games, to immerse themselves in it more.
Yeah, so I mean, we're talking now about getting rid of the glasses, but one of the things that could happen, which I'm sort of more excited about, is what if the glasses, and maybe combined with 7.1 headphones, maybe what if that completely replaced your TV? If you had that and the glasses had head tracking in, you could watch multiple shows at the same time and get the audio feed of the channel you're actually looking at. So you could be watching TV and like, watching another TV show and browsing the internet and doing a bunch of other stuff at the same time, which would be pretty cool. And to me, that's more appealing than watching TV without glasses. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Gamer, but they've got some pretty cool gesture-based user interfaces in that could be pretty cool, you know, change the channel just by moving your hands. In fact, Toshiba have a TV, right, that has gesture-based. It uses the cell processor.
Maybe someone else's console does it as well.
Yeah, there's the yeah, right, we're not talking about that. We have gesture recognition too. But the Toshiba TV that's got the cell chip, the same processor in it as the PS3, that has some gesture-based recognition on changing channel. So, you know, the whole concept of watching TV could be completely different. I mean, for a start, you'd be able to lie down and do it, right? So that would be nice. So who knows what will happen in the next 25 years.
I think that's interesting, though, to bring that up, because it's kind of where I think Nintendo's got it right. With this little handheld, and it's almost magical in the sense that you're used to seeing the glasses in 3D. So a lot of people are like, wow, how does this even work, right? But it's very confined. It always works. You know, you go buy your $300 piece of hardware, and boom, it works. And the games for it are going to work. And you know, Schell Games are very interested in it. We are a Nintendo developer, and we're trying to figure out how we can get some parallax, some use out of the 3D parallax in the title we're working on. But I don't know if the HMD sort of viewing experience is conducive to family-oriented viewing,
Yeah, that's
right? So that's perhaps a problem. But maybe in the computing industry, it becomes a way to go.
Yeah, and on the other hand, you can have virtual presence TV viewing. You can watch TV with your family when you're millions of miles apart.
Sure.
Okay, let's ask some questions for the audience. So, any burning questions out there?
Well, earlier you mentioned that with Toy Story, that the percentage went down as far as 3D versus 2D, and I wonder how much of that was an age factor, because parents are making the purchase decisions for the younger audience that Toy Story attracted, and maybe it's just an age issue that the older audience isn't willing to adopt to the 3D technology.
So I have a 2.5-year-old, and he hasn't yet gone to the movies. But I can relate to this, I think, innate fear a parent would have for taking their 5-year-old or 6-year-old to a 3D movie about, oh God, the motion sickness, and he's 5, and just the nightmare of the idea of putting 105-year-old kids in a room together, experiencing 3D for the first time. Yeah, that might be a very valid point.
So they don't keep the glasses on when they're that small. My kid had that problem.
Yeah,
that's true.
I raised the point earlier. I actually think I wasn't sure I got your point. It was the opposite is true. To make sure I understood it, my perception is I think the adults actually are into 3D more than the kids. The kids aren't into it, and as I raised the point is, when I took my daughter to the first Toy Story 1 and 2, when they re-released in 3D, they had adult-sized glasses. So my wife went into the bathroom and had to run the glasses under hot water to try to bend them so they'd fit. When we went to the Toy Story 3 the second time, I went to 2 theaters. One had kids' glasses, the other one didn't. My daughter is pretty fidgety. She got through, an hour and 20 minutes of Toy Story 3, and then finally she had to leave. So I think that's a contributing factor to it, though. I think that study it doesn't do, as Neil pointed out, a lot of points. It doesn't do it doesn't tell the whole picture, right? It just tells data with no interpretation.
I thought I'd bring it up because it was out there and floating around saying, oh, is the gimmick over? Obviously, I don't think it is, and I think the games will push it much further. But I thought it was reasonable to point out for debate.
I guess I had a different interpretation of that. I personally believe that 3D is not a gimmick, but is 3D as a gimmick over? I mean, Clash.
I'd like to think so. I mean,
It's like, I've got
don't
it.
poke things out the screen.
Have you seen the ads for Saw in 3D? I mean,
My Bloody Valentine.
exactly. I think the problem is that someone probably smarter than me pointed out at another conference, which is some types of movies and shows are always going to be gimmicky, right? No matter what, right? My wife loves horror movies with slasher films and all that. She loves Resident Evil. There's always going to be some sort of gimmick that they're going to want to latch onto and do, and they're just going to do it. But I think, James Cameron's been pretty adamant about this, is don't treat 3D like a gimmick, treat it just like a tool, right? Just like you treated color like a tool, right? I want to show you what this landscape looks like in color now. I want to use surround sound to simulate the sounds of a battlefield or, going to a faraway land. So I think it's always like with everything, it's important to treat it like a tool and use it like a tool. But, nothing you can do about it. There's always going to be gimmicks that people are going to try to use it as.
Are any of you guys concerned about the 10% of people who have really, really hard time seeing stereoscopic renderings? There's a 10% burnout rate that people...
I don't think it's as high as 10%. I've seen sort of 3 or so percent, and I've experienced it quite a few times because I've gone to a lot of conferences.
Well, most of it is it's bad 3D that's causing it. It's like,
okay, maybe it's up to 10% when it's bad 3D.
That's my experience. Is that when users, I work in a VR research firm.
Yeah.
It's just like when people see bad 3D, they actually carry with them the stigma even into a good venue. Like, we have $1 million venue. I guarantee you, it's the best 3D you'll experience. But if they saw Clash of the Titans and they were sitting in the wrong spot in the theater, they're going to walk in and feel bad about it. How do you guys plan to combat that? The perception, if someone has a bad experience, to work through that?
It's really valid. We did a lot of playtesting during Toy Story Mania and the development process, and it was kind of surprising the number of people who were reluctant to even try it because they thought they weren't going to be able to see it correctly, or they thought that this is going to make them ill, or kind of just a fear of that sort of thing. And I mean, the thing that's going to combat it is good content and good attractions. On our staff, Toy Story Mania has a very shockingly low percentage of people come off that ride and say, "Wow, I don't feel well," or "Hey, that 3D was bad," So maybe it's just that success rate will help with that.
I think one of the brilliant things that did happen, which I agree it's a real problem, because as I was going to 3D a couple of years ago, whenever I talked to older people, they were kind of like, "No, did it? It's like being there, seen it, done it. Jaws is horrible," and even those movies. And it's like, no, it's not anaglyph. It's moved on, and people were just like not even wanting to know that it moved on. Whereas when you sort of spoke to kids, it was like, then explained what 3D was, like, cool, I'll try that out. And it's like, so people do seem to sort of like harbour the bad memories. But, and I mean, I was a big fan of the IMAX 3D, but there's a lot of bad movies in IMAX 3D. But I saw that it was the content, and it wasn't the IMAX that was at fault there.
Yeah, the IMAX, they're very constrained by the size of their cameras, so it makes it hard for them to do good 3D. At Sony, what we've done is we've tried to collaborate across disciplines. So we've actually, received training from Sony ImageWorks and Sony Pictures Entertainment, who, have made some of the best 3D movies out there. So they've actually brought their knowledge to us in the video game space, so that we can try and make sure that out of the gate we give people a good experience. And it is true that the more, and this is a problem, as you do more 3D and as you look at more 3D, the better at seeing 3D you get. So there are some wonderful old books of pictures from the 19th century in 3D, but I really recommend you don't look at them, because you'll get so good at seeing 3D, you'll be able to see 3D in anything after that.
That's, I think, just to follow up on that, definitely as more 3D content becomes available, I mean, 3D is kind of hard, and it's also a little secretive, right? People are early in the process of building technologies, people don't want to talk about it as much. But as more people are building things, you'll get libraries that solve some of the harder problems for you. So the development of the content to be able to make 3D, at least passably good, will become easier, I think, over time.